Welcome to the MICK Show, where I give you a laid-back look at the lives and businesses of today's most well-respected creatives. You'll learn key life lessons from culture's most prominent personalities, musicians, actors, athletes, and CEOs. So sit back, relax, and let's get into the show. This is the MICK Show.
I just didn't think that people understood exactly who I am. Like, don't box me into just being a DJ. Don't box me into old school. Like, no, I'm D Nice. Like, that's all I ever wanted people to just see. I'm just me. That's it.
We have our special guest today, D Nice, Derek Jones. Very excited to have you here on the MICK Show. You love the name? You love my self-branding name?
I do love your self-branding. You're all about self-branding.
You gotta love it. You gotta love it. Well, I learned from watching my peers. I'm too old to call people my elders now because I'm old too. So like now it's just like we're all just gentlemen.
Yes.
Grown.
I learned a lot from you too, though, man. I've always loved your branding. You know, just the way you've handled your career. You know, both of us have been self-managed, and you know we do the things that we feel are right for our personal brands, and it's always seemed to work, man. So I'm proud of you, bro. I'm happy to be on your podcast, brother.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool. We got some really exciting things planned for it, and I'll keep you posted. Let's get right into first and foremost for the people who are listening who, you know, there's a little disclaimer. You and I have been friends for like 10, 12, 13 years at this point. Yes. So it's we have a more of a familiarity that than most people probably are used to hearing on podcast interviews. So you may hear some inside jokes or some hidden things. We may or may not let you in on whatever it is we're talking about, but we've had some great experiences over the years. But, you know, obviously, like a lot of people came to you late to the party via the quarantine, and it's been really exciting to watch. I mean, what did your social media, it exploded to like 300%? It was something like that?
Yeah, I can't even remember what the number was, but it was actually over 300%. It exploded like 800%. Like, wow. It was an insane number of like literally going from, you know, like even like, no, you know what it was? It was the Google searches on me exploded like over 800%. That's what it was. Wow. You know, it was, I mean, insane, like millions of like people just like Googling me. So when they sent that number over, I was like, Jesus Christ, this is insane. You know, you would think that I was a new artist with like a new record out, but all I was doing was just playing music on social media and it took off. But in terms of like Instagram, that following was insane because I went from, I remember this clearly, 198,000 followers. And I knew that I was so close to like 200,000. I was happy. And by the time I woke up after that big night, that big Saturday night, I woke up the next morning. It was about 6 o'clock in the morning. And I, you know, just like everyone, we all wake up, we look at our social media. Like, all right, we say we don't do it, but that's what we do. Yes, we do that's really what we do, man. We open up, that's the first thing we do when we open our phone. We check a couple of messages, look at our social media. And I was like it was a moment of like, yo, like, honestly, I'll say exactly what I said. I was like, oh shit. I looked at my number and it was almost 700,000 people. And I was just completely blown away by that. And then every time I refreshed it, no lie, bro, like every single time I refreshed it, it went up 1,000. I mean, every time I kept refreshing it because I couldn't believe it. And it was like, I would refresh, another 1,000, refresh, another 1,000. And it was just, my mind was blown. So this was like 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning. And I walked into the living room. I turned on the television. And the last show that I was watching was on CBS. So it was on CBS when I turned on the television. And immediately my face was on like Good Morning America Sunday. And I was like, just imagine refreshing it. And then all of a sudden you turn the television on and then your face is there. All I could do was just sit down. And I was like, whoa, like this is insane. Like this really meant something to people. And it's completely mind-blowing and life-changing.
Let me ask you a question. Do you remember the exact moment that you hit 1 million followers?
Yes, I remember hitting 1 million followers because I was still on IG Live that Sunday. So like, you know, that morning when I looked at the number of like over 600,000 people, someone that I know at Instagram, he gave me a call and he said like, hey, you're going to hit 1 million today. I know how this wave works. And I was just in denial, like, nah, it's not possible. He's like, no, I understand how this works. You'll hit 1 million. You have a true platform now, and congratulations. And just make sure you do something really good with it. And that's the kind of inspiration that I've been receiving from everyone. And I've always tried to find like this balance between like music, social awareness, you know, being dad and talking about fatherhood. Like I never wanted to be about one thing because that's not who I am. I encompass all of these things, and I love showing that on my social media.
Yeah, I've always felt like you've done a really good job showing that. I feel like some of our peers are very still DJ centric with their social media, which is fine, you know, but for me, I found that my career opened up significantly when I started showing the true attributes of who it is that I am, and in an authentic way. And you still can make it look good. Like obviously you're a photographer, you have a great eye, and I have a pretty decent design eye too. I'm not a photographer, but I could do enough to make it look how I want it to look and still be authentic. So I could show people like, you know, a curated version of my life. But the nice thing is it's absolutely still my life. And I think that like people want to see the diversity. And I remember like, you know, I think maybe only one person ever has been like, man, there's too much of your kid on your Instagram and all of those things. And I think that's amazing because we are in an era where we can show the positivity of not just, I mean, we're entertainers. We get on planes. Well, we used to, right? And we do all these things, but like at the end of the day, we're family men and we're dads. And so I don't think you see a lot of that from like, I can't recall growing up to look at the people I looked up to, and I didn't know how they parented. I didn't know that they cared about their kids. And then when you did hear about people as parents, all you heard was the fucked up shit. Oh, this person hasn't paid their child support in 12 years, or this person beat their kid, or this person, you know, all these things. This person went to jail for drugs and their kid hasn't seen them. And then that kid became a drug addict, and all those true Hollywood stories. And then you got like people like us, and there's a lot of people like us too that have that same sort of mindset is I'm going to bring my kid along for the ride of the stuff, good and bad. And thankfully there's a lot more good, and show them how, you know, what working hard and what being a good person and all of that stuff can do. And I feel like that's something you've historically always done through your photography and through your IG platform.
I think like for me, it's been important to share the experience with my kids. I have 2 daughters. I'm just saying that for the audience. Obviously, you know that I have 2 daughters. We're friends. I mean, we're brothers really. And like, we talk about these things, but like, it was important for me to be able to show these things to my kids because for so long, especially within the last decade of me traveling the way that I do, like my oldest daughter, you know, her name is Ashley. She, you know, I wasn't doing what I'm doing now when she was younger. Dylan, on the other hand, this life that I have is all that she's known.
It's all she knows, yeah.
You know, me traveling as much as I do. So now that I have an opportunity to do some great things, and not that what I did in the past wasn't great. It was all great. But like this just seems different, bro. Like this is a magical moment that like every DJ should experience once in their lives, you know, where it's like once in your life to experience something that you know shifted the culture. Like I know this. I know that what happened with my IG Live shifted the culture of music. We listen to music differently. And what's so crazy about it is this is just the way that you and I have been listening to music anyway. Yeah. I'm not doing anything any differently than what we did already in our private events. Our style of DJing didn't work well in like more mainstream EDM driven clubs, Saturday night in Vegas. Like that's not what they wanted to hear.
No, we play from your heart and play from your soul, and that's I think that's like such a thing as a creative doing this stuff on IG Live. Like there is nobody to tell you no, you can't play this. There's no client saying I just bought $2 million of bottles. I need to hear this song right now. Like I talk to so many DJs about this, and Jazzy Jeff and I were talking about this extensively. I don't think I've played a song that I don't love since March.
Yes. Not one. Since March. Not
and
one.
I've bought more music. I've bought more music since March for all the people who are trying to like shut us down, I've bought more music from March until, this summer than I probably have bought in a decade.
Yes.
Because I'm just like, wait, I don't have the UK remix of Tribe Check the Rhyme. Like, I don't have that. Like, why don't I have that in this computer? I know I have it on another, like, so I just go on iTunes live and buy it. And I'm just like, I do it because not as a chore, but the love and like the joy of the discovery of rediscovering what I love. I think it's made me, and I'm sure I feel like it would be the same for you, so much more juiced creatively to get back out there into the world, because I fell in love with DJing again.
I'm so in love with music. Like, honestly, Mick, like I thought before, like this was pre-COVID, I thought that, all right, I'm turning 50. This is it. Like, I'm done. I want to retire from DJing. I'm over it. Like, I got to figure out the next step, whether it was filmmaking or writing a book, or I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I was that tired of like playing those same records and of being, and this is no disrespect to any of the new music, because I actually do love the music. Like, I love Calvin Harris, please. Like, the energy in his records, whether it's up tempo, down tempo, I love those records. Migos, all of them. I love all of these records. But I got tired of just being limited to those records whenever I was asked to play these big gigs. And it's like, yo, I want disco in there. Like, last night I was playing a slow song set. I have this thing called Club Quarantine After Dark. And I was just playing like very vibey kind of records. And in the middle of the set, I just threw on like Fiona Apple. And I would see like all of these hearts going crazy. Like, yo, he's playing Criminal. And then I went into the Cranberries and I was just playing like Edie Brickell. And like, I was just having fun with music the way that I actually listen to music. Yeah. So having like, the ability to DJ that way with an audience where it'll be like 10,000 people listening at one time, which obviously, it represents more than 10,000 because, everyone's not standing there.
Right. People are popping in and out of the rooms and all of that.
People are in and out of the rooms. And it's like, it's just beautiful to see that we could play music right now and people gravitate towards us because we are being authentically who we are. Yeah. And that's like one of the most amazing feelings, man. Now I can't end my career right now if I wanted to. It's like, I feel like I have to be responsible and like keep going with this because I know it's been a source of inspiration for so many people.
It has. How did that start? Like, I mean, I know some of it just from talking to you, but like for those who don't know, like what made that weekend turn into like the short version of the story? Like how did it go from like, nobody even knowing what DJing on Instagram was to a million followers?
So initially, the idea started with me and some buddies sitting at a cigar bar, and we were at a cigar bar here in LA, and we were all trying to figure out like, well, what's the plan? Like, one guy he's a host on one of the sports shows. I mean, Jimmy Jackson, Jimmy. So it was Jimmy and I. We were smoking cigars, and our other buddies, and everyone was like, well, what are you going to do during quarantine? I was like, look, there's a feature on Instagram where you can just go live. And like, I was like, I don't know, maybe I'll just go live and interview some of my old school friends. So in my mind, all I was thinking about was, all right, I'm going to call Big Daddy Kane. I'm going to call, this person. I'm going to try to convince John Legend to jump on with me. Like, this is all I thought about. I was like, I'm going to try to convince these people to like do IG Live with me. And once we were locked down and I was sitting here at home and I was quarantined alone, I was a little bit frustrated by because I hadn't spent much time home. As you know, we travel so much for work, for our DJ gigs.
It's foreign being home, right? It's a weird thing. For most people, it's foreign, so foreign. Not being home. For us, it's foreign. Well, I just, as a quick interjection, because I'm looking at my closet like in my office, like, when's the last time, bro, that you put away your luggage? Because my luggage is in this closet right here, and my luggage has probably been in the corner of my bedroom or my office for at least 3 years. And about 2 weeks into quarantine, I was like, the fuck? It's like why am I tripping over this every day? Like, it's not coming out. Was it weird? Is it weird for you? Like, thinking like,
it's weird. Right? It's weird being home. And to answer that question, I have so much luggage that's like packed with clothes from traveling. I mean, literally all over. I mean, in the spare room, in the spare bedroom, I have like this very nice bathroom, but I have like luggage in there that's still packed because it's usually like coming home. I'll be home for 2 days, then I'm gone. Then I'm back on the road. Back on the road for a week. I'll fly back to LA for a day and spend some time, hang out with my buddies, then jump back on a plane. I mean, before COVID hit, like literally before COVID hit, I opened up for Jill Scott. I had an event in LA, jumped on a plane, went to New York, opened up for Jill Scott at Radio City Music Hall. So I arrived that day, opened for Jill, 6 a.m, jumped on a flight to Trinidad. I played in Trinidad. Then 6 a.m, 4 a.m, really, because I had to be at the airport 2 hours before leaving that country. Jumped back on a plane, flew to New York, connected through New York to head to LA, and played the Image Awards after party. So like in like 3 days, I was like different cities, another country. That was the kind of flying that we do and that people don't even understand. And a lot of it is based on wanting to control the narrative of your career. It's like, you know, if you're not working, or the perception of it is, if you're not working, you're not hot for DJs. I feel a little differently now, but then that's how I was feeling. I was like, as an older DJ, and I will say that, as an older DJ, because I'm not 23, turned 50 years old, and I'm trying to like be relevant, battle, you know, against like all of these new guys. You know, I mean, Martin Garrix is what, 21, 22 years old? It's like, you're trying to be competitive. And, but I just remember like right before COVID hit, I was doing all these gigs. And when COVID hit and I was home and I looked around, I was like, yo, what is this place? Like, you know, I never made it home, you know, and that was part of the frustration of being here. And partially why I sat in this very chair, in this very spot, right here. This is where it all started, right here. I just have the blinds down right now, so the lighting would be okay. But it was a magical moment of like trying to figure out what to do while we were quarantined, and to just play music. And initially I wasn't just playing music. I was playing music and sharing stories, because every song that we played, like I listen to your live, you know, I go in when you're vibing and you're playing breaks, and like, you know, I know where that's coming from. And you've always been like this dude that has always created these mixtapes that it's no different than how I DJ. You've always combined like original samples and like blended them into the new records.
We
like,
always try to tell stories of what we do. I don't want to just play songs. I want to give people an experience of the songs.
I feel like people weren't ready for that in the past, in that it took the world to stop to be ready for our style of playing music. Like the world had to just stop to be like, wait, we're out of control right now. But when you listen to how we play music, because I've heard you play everything. We don't, it's not like we just lean towards one specific genre. It's like, it's about music. It's about a feeling. And the fact that resonated with the world, I mean, bro, it is. I was on a call about a month ago with the Hollywood Foreign Press, everyone that votes for the Golden Globes. And I was just sitting here bugging on this Zoom call because they were all on there and they were all fascinated with this. And they were all asking me these questions, and there was in newspapers all over the world. And I was just like, man, I never imagined that playing Sister Sledge and mixing it in with like a Drake record would like actually mean something to so many people all over the world. And it's, when I tell you, Mick, man, it has been one of the most amazing experiences of my life outside of being a parent. Yeah. Like to play music that means something to so many people during this time of like people feeling borderline depressed. But we can play music, we as DJs, and I will say this, I feel like DJs saved the world. That we could play music.
I would agree with you.
And like people felt so inspired and felt like this energy and wanted to live life and wanted to like celebrate and dance in their living rooms alone. There are people that sent me pictures of them playing music for their kids, for their 7 or 8-year-old, like introducing them to all of these older records. And then I would play a new record. And like, it's just a beautiful feeling, man.
I literally have my son loving, and I gotta send you this actually, but I have him loving so much stuff that he would have never been exposed to via his preschool, kindergarten peer group or like whatever, like just because of my life. So he'll listen to like Roy Ayers and he'll listen to like, you know, Donald Byrd and he's just like loving it. And now because I never had, similar to you, I never had DJ stuff set up in my house, which DJ'd so much that like, that's the last thing I wanted to do was DJ at home. And I kitted out my kitchen to like look responsibly nice, aesthetically nice for DJing. Mike, I'll come in and my kid is he's hitting the cue points on beat and singing and stuff. And I'm like, I never showed him anything, but he's doing it to like Donald Byrd and stuff. And it blows my mind. And now like I walk through the house and he's singing like Places and Spaces I've Been and all this stuff. And he's singing all offbeat, but I'm just like, he would never have known. And so I think when I think about, even that just happens in my house with me DJing and obviously in your house with your girls, like how many families get to enjoy the experience together, the unification of families because I always felt that the DJ's job was to be, we were the original unifiers of everybody, man. Like our job when we walk into a room, like that's why I think DJs, like the smart DJs, like are great marketers because we are the guys that if we walk into a room, I need to make an old person, a young person, a white person, a black person, a fat person, a skinny person, a male, a female, a gay person, like, you know, whatever the person is, it doesn't matter. I'm appreciative that you're there, but my job and your job and our job is to figure out some marketing strategy, some holistic human strategy combined to make you all come together on the dance floor at the same time and leave better. And I've always felt that our job was to unify people. And I don't think people really took that macro down approach of what a DJ's true job is. Cause like DJing got to be about pressing buttons and making money and all that stuff is great. But if we can't do the essence of our job, which is to bring people together and give people a good time, and it doesn't matter who you are, and make you be friends with the person 3 feet away from you. And now I guess it will be 6 feet away from you with a mask when the world comes back. But that's our job. Not only do we want people who would never be friends to be friends for us, but when they leave, they need to feel better. And we've been doing that since we were kids. And so to be able to do that now for families I would believe that we've improved through our souls and the soul of the music we play, family relationships, friend relationships, couples relationships. I strongly believe that because we're giving people something positive. We're changing like their spirit while we're doing it, while they're stuck at home. And rather than look at your parent as, oh my God, I got to sit next to this motherfucker one more day. You're like, oh, you like that. And I like that. And like how we play, you do play samples and I was like, okay, I like Drake and you like Curtis Mayfield, but and then now you have a whole new thing to talk to your parents about. And your parents could be like, oh, I do like that Drake because he sampled, you know, like it's just, and so we're fortifying relationships. And I think that's always been the job of a DJ, but now everybody could see it.
Everyone can see it. It's funny because the other day, Kathy Sledge, Sister Sledge asked me to join her live. So I was sitting with my daughter and I was like, hey, Dylan, I'm going to jump on an IG live. You want to jump on with me? And she was like, no. I was like, all right, I'm going to do this IG live with Kathy. That's all I said. She said, Kathy Sledge? And I was like, wait.
I love that.
You know who Kathy Sledge is? She was like, yeah, you always play her song. And I was like, wow. Like that was so a moment for me as a parent and as a DJ. It was like, wow, I actually taught another generation of like the music that I love, you know what I mean? That just feels good to me, you know, and that was a beautiful moment, you know, to be able to share that. But I agree with you, man. It's like playing music to me has been like just this. First of all, I want to talk about multiple things about this experience that I've had during this time. I spent an entire career trying not to live in the shadow of one of the greatest MCs that has ever touched a microphone in hip hop, KRS-One. So I've always had this thing of like, yo, I got to be successful. It was almost like this big brother syndrome of like wanting him to be able to be like, yo, you did it without me. And also wanting to have the ability to say that. Like, yo, I did it without my group. Like, I made my mark. So this whole thing that happened was like totally mind-blowing to me of like, wow, I finally became like this household name doing what I love. And it has nothing to do with one of the most incredible MCs that has ever touched the microphone.
That's crazy. 30 years later, that's still like right there.
30 years.
Yeah, that's amazing. But it's also speaks to how impactful that was, though, too, for you, right?
Yeah,
I think that album just celebrated anniversary, right? I think that.
Yes. June. I'm sorry. July 24th was the 30th anniversary of my first album, and I can't even tell you, man. It's been like a magical moment for me that 30 years later, my life is greater than it was. You know, like, and when I was just ready to completely just give up, and as I told you, man, I was ready to give up on this. Wasn't that I was doing bad? Like, no, I was in a very good space. I was just physically tired. I was just tired, bro, of like, you know, being self-managed. And not that I couldn't have been with a manager. I just didn't think that people understood exactly who I am. Like, don't box me into just being a DJ. Don't box me into old school. Like, no, I'm D-Nice. Like, that's all I ever wanted people to just see. I'm just me. That's it. Like, don't box me into anything, you know, like, you know, I remember being in these clubs and like trying to be accepted by like promoters and like club managers. And I remember this dude, I was DJing at a club in New York City called Butter. And I remember at the end of the night, and those were the days when, you know, I had to DJ for like 6 hours for like $500, you know, and like.
Were you bringing records at the time too, or was it digital?
No, I was playing CDs. I wasn't even doing Serato. I was playing CDs. Okay. I was using CDJs, and I would carry all my CDs. And
wow, the Case Logic book.
Yes, the Case Logic book. Yes,
shout out to Case Logic.
So this was after, because when I first started, I had like my cousin Mick helping me carry these crates of records, and then I like converted everything to CDs and started using CDJs. And it was Chris Lighty that was like, "Yo, when you gonna get off the CDJ stuff, like, and just use Serato?" I had never heard of Serato. He was like, there's a dude on this boat that was like, this is like Serato was first out. Like, there's a dude on the boat. He just saw this computer. Like, you need to get with that. And I was like, nah, I'm good with these CDs. Like, nah, I'm good. But you know, back to the story of like being in this club. And at the end of the night, a dude walked over to me. He was the manager of the venue. And he walked over to me and he put his hands on my shoulder and he rubbed my jacket and was like, "Oh, this is really nice. How can you afford that? I know what we pay you." And I was offended by that, bro. Like, I was like, the fact that someone felt like, one, it was ego driven. I know that now because I shouldn't have been as offended as I was back then. But it was ego driven of like, what do you mean, how could I afford this? Like, yo, I own a web development company. I was building websites by day and DJing at night. Like, I'm DJing here. I mean, trust me, I didn't want to DJ, and no knock on Butter because I actually like Richie Akiva a lot. But I didn't want to be in the clubs like that. I wanted to do private events, but nobody believed in me. Like, no one believed in me, bro. Like, and I just went a different route to help me get to where I am now. And that's why I'm so humbled by this experience because, I mean, bro, like, I'm not going to lie to you, man. Like, 4 weeks after this whole IG thing blew up, it took 4 weeks for me to literally sit and live in the moment. And I sat there and I teared up again because I could not believe that the dude that started out DJing and doing these events for, you know, $100 a night had become one of the biggest DJs and most recognizable DJs in the world. And that experience was very humbling. And I can't lie, I'm in a very good space because of that. But it's like, that's the beauty of this whole thing, Mick, is that I know I'm giving you way too much, you know, and you feel free to just stop me if it's going on too long. But I just feel like you understand this of like the stress and the amount of like work that it goes into and the amount of sacrifices that you make to reach any of these goals, you know, like the goals for me were different than you because you really didn't have a legacy to live up to. Yeah. I had the legacy of like BDP and KRS-One. So I couldn't lean in one direction, even though I wanted to just play EDM because I love dance music and I wanted to dance. I had to always keep one foot in hip hop because there was always going to be one person in that crowd that actually knows who I am. That would be like, "Oh, what the hell are you doing, bro? Like, it's not D-Nice." Like, so I've always had to carry all of this baggage, which ended up being incredible baggage for me because it forced me to remind myself of who I am. the legacy that I created before all of this, like, and to remember to play those records, like to remember to play, even if it's the craziest crowd. You know, as you know, I've seen you play Uptown Anthem, Naughty by Nature, in the middle of, you know, an Emmy party or something. You know what I mean? Like, it was just like, no, to remind yourself of like what you love, the culture of hip hop. And
I'm gonna cut it up and hit that hey, like every time, like because like you got to do that because we got to do that. We can't forget that one moment that I take from me in the middle of the playing for everybody else gives me the energy to do another whole hour for everybody else. It's like a vitamin. You need that.
That one moment of playing one or two songs where you're like, all right, now I have it's like someone just replaced the battery in your back.
Yeah, you have a whole different energy with it.
It's different energy when you can just explore, and especially if people stay dancing. Like if they're still dancing when you drop that Uptown Anthem and they're still there and they're like, oh, okay. Oh, I can just be free. Like that moment is so important and it's so beautiful to experience. And it's crazy because I always have to remind myself that I didn't get here as a DJ based on my ability to play hip hop music, which is so crazy. It was based on my ability to just be diverse when it comes to like music, to be more eclectic, to understand how to mix this Hall & Oates record. And if I can blend in Migos, stir fry or something with Hall & Oates and like keep that going, it was that.
And by the way, I caught the fact that you only mentioned a 90 BPM Migos record because like that's the only one that's gonna mix with some Hall & Oates shit anyway. So like I know where your mind's going on some nerd shit. The DJs that are listening to this will probably be like 0.5% of the audience, but they're gonna understand that like you didn't say Versace. You said the up-tempo one. I respect that.
Yes. It's like because I know what that feeling is like. It's like trying to keep that going. And man, it's beautiful that it's not just based on that, but my background is hip hop, man. And I'm always going to be a hip hop guy. And look, I'm sitting here next to you with Slick Rick. Come on, man. Slick Rick is here.
I love it. I mean, I told you my cat's name is Hove. So, you know, it's just like, and that was way before I moved to Brooklyn. That was when I lived in Ohio. So let me ask you, what do you think for people who are in any career that are struggling right now to figure out what their longevity is? Because you've been through a few evolutions of your career way before COVID. You've evolved a few times. You've conquered the obstacles. You've won. For anybody that has any job, especially now in today's world where everybody's entrepreneurial and everybody's self-employed and everybody's in the gig economy and everybody's a personal brand, like, what advice would you give to somebody who wants to truly hone in on what makes them and figure out how to monetize it? Are there any deep soul searching strategies you could give them?
I mean, I don't know what advice to truly give someone because my path has been different. So, you know, I came from a hip hop community and I was, you know, I grew up, you know, living, you know, sleeping across from my great grandmother in the living room, you know, like, so my path this journey has been way different than anyone. Like my journey has been one of necessity. Like, I got to figure out how to do this because this is what I'm good at. You know, I just know like I've never settled for anything. Like I've never allowed anyone to limit what I believe as an artist, you know, just as a creative in general. And as a business owner, you know, like I've never worked for anyone. That doesn't work for everybody because not everyone can handle the ebbs and flows of being independent, of like one day you're making a lot of money and then the next thing you know, you owe like $300,000 or $400,000 in taxes. And how are you going to pay this? And your credit cards are falling behind because you ran your business on all of your cars trying to keep this afloat. I mean, you got to have thick skin to be able to do that, to be able to say like, I'm not going to give up. You know, and it's funny because I had this conversation with one of my best friends who he was there the day I met DJ Scott LaRock. He was a security guard at the men's shelter with Scott LaRock, who started my group BDP, and KRS-One, who was the lead rapper of our group. And they were both the founding members of BDP. It was amazing to have this conversation with my buddy who said to me the other night, he ended up being our manager, by the way. He managed the group, managed my group, Boogie Down Productions. We called him Manager Mo. But he called me, he said, like, man, I'm so proud of you. Like, I don't know anyone in my life that has had this kind of life for 3 decades of like never giving up. Some people would have given up the first time. After the clapping stopped from rapping, I didn't give up. You know, I had a bunch of failures, and then I started a web development company. That thing blew up. Then that fell apart. I didn't give up. I was like, no, I still felt like there was something great happening. I started DJing and doing, you know, becoming more of a photographer than anything. And I shot album covers, and it was just like I've had this life of like creativity, man. So my advice really would be to just never give up, man. Like my uncle told me, my uncle is probably in his 90s now, which I need to reach out to him, but he told me one day when I called him and we were talking about business, and this was roughly around 20 years ago. And he was in his 70s at the time, which I really do need to call him. And I was just asking.
I'm going to set you an alarm, and I'm going to text it to you.
No, I have to reach out to him, because this conversation, that was a pivotal moment for me in terms of what I want to do with my life, Nick. Like, honestly, was this one conversation that I had with him. And he said to me, you know, I was calling, and what I was really calling for was to borrow money from him, because I wanted to start a record company. And he's my uncle, but like he has his own kids, and it wasn't like he's my mother's uncle, so he's my great uncle. You know, it's not like he was just someone who I admired as a man, like the way he handled his life. And I called him, and we were talking, and I wanted to borrow money to like start a record company. Never got the money from him, but the advice that he gave me was what like changed my life. And he said, it's like, look, you know, he said, I had an opportunity to play in the Negro Leagues, and I didn't do it because, you know, my wife was pregnant, and, you know, I ended up joining the military to take care of my family. And, you know, they're still married. But what he said was, you never want to have a life of regrets, because he never knew what his life could have been like, because he was so in love with playing baseball. And he never knew what his life could have been like had he pursued baseball. And he said, you never want a lifetime of regrets. Not that he wasn't happy with his family, loves our family, but it's that personal thing of like knowing that you didn't fully pursue what you really wanted to do. I never wanted that for myself. I never want that for my kids. It's like whatever they do, whatever they decide to do, I want them to be passionate about it. And that's just the way that I live my life, man. Like I have no regrets when it comes to career choices. Like I feel like all of the decisions that I've made are the decisions that led me to one of the biggest experiences of my life, which happens to be Club Quarantine.
Right. I love that. I'm a big believer that like everything shapes you for what it is that you ultimately will be, whether that's on a personal level or a career level, or the missed flight that you didn't get means, you know, that person that you met at that airport in the bar because you missed your flight might be the person that 5 years. I mean, this has happened to me. I'm sure it's happened to you. Like those are those random happenstance of connections that shape, you know, your next 5 years because of something that was eventually or initially not a good opportunity. I mean, I even look at this podcast, like people have been saying for years, I need to do this. And I just put it off. And then when, you know, I waited and you get an opportunity to do something, but like a MAXIM or things like that. And you're just like, man, I'm glad I waited, because I would much rather do things on a much larger scale. And when the time is right, than just to do something, just to do it. But it took me to have the hindsight to kind of realize that. Yes. Do you think that let's switch? Let's go a little lighter with some topics. What do you think is going to happen with entertainment post COVID? Like, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, of course, it will bounce back. Everyone loves entertainment. You know, people need the feeling of getting out and partying. But I don't know if people will party. You know, actually, let me take that back, man, because I've seen videos of people partying, bro, and I'm like extremely disappointed that people are like partying during this time of COVID and not respecting like social distancing. And then it's crazy that so many of them have like, you know, been hit with COVID. Like, damn, I shouldn't have been at this party. So I don't know, man. Like, I know this for me, like, I don't think I'll shake hands like that again. like I'm a bit freaked out over it because I remember shaking hands and like seeing so many people and feeling uncomfortable. This was pre-COVID. Now, like post-COVID, I mean, not even post, we're still dealing with it, but like during COVID, I'm like, I can't even imagine doing that ever again. And I also don't want to be in, I know it's inevitable because I am a DJ and it's what I love, but like, I have no desire right now to be in a room that's packed like Big Vegas Club or, you know, be in Miami Live or something like that. You know, like I have no desire for anything like that. I'm kind of obsessed with more like amphitheaters and like doing outdoor events. And I think that kind of vibe is going to be a big thing when people are able to comfortably get out again. I did an event for like frontline workers in Miami. That was the first time that I'd been on a plane and flew out to Miami and did this event for them. But it was real deal social distancing. You had to drive your car.
Yeah. Oh, I saw it was driving, right? Yeah. That's crazy.
And it was great. It was weird. Actually, it was great because I knew that I was one of the first, and I was definitely the first DJ to do it. Keith Urban beat me by 2 days as being like the first performer, which was like, ugh. But I mean, if you're gonna lose to someone, it's Keith Urban. I mean, like,
and his luscious hair.
Yeah, the experience of it was different. But we as DJs and as entertainers in general, we know how to adapt to things because I couldn't figure out how to have like a call and response. Like, how do you communicate with an audience that people are sitting in their cars?
Yeah.
I just yelled out, like, yo, if you're having a good time, blow your horns. And I was like, yo, this is different. So I can't imagine.
It's the same energy though, right? It's like the same energy, just translated differently.
But just imagine hearing someone blowing horns for you, like a bunch of cars.
That's
like
crazy.
That was just wild to me. So I don't know if we'll ever go back to what it used to be, but like I think we'll still thrive in this business, man, because people, as you know, like it's being dictated right now, like music, entertainment is what people need during this time. Like everyone wants to escape from that madness that they're dealing with, you know, during this crazy time of being quarantined, you know. So, you know, I think we'll bounce back. I don't know how long it will take, but like people still buying records, you know, people are still buying records. People still have a desire to go out. But I think it'll bounce back.
I'm envisioning this DJ booth with like a plastic plexiglass thing around it. So like, you know, like when you go into the store, like they got the counters all like plasticed off. I think I'm gonna put that in my rider. Like I need a plastic plexiglass bubble.
I need wipes. I need spray. I'm like, I'm not playing around, bro.
Yo, I'll tell you something funny because I know you'll appreciate this more than anybody else. I had so many flight miles that I probably won't ever be able to use because the world shut down. I put it all in a Lysol. So I took them all and converted them to like Amazon points. And like they had like all these Lysol resellers on Amazon when the shit was sold out globally. And they were like wild expensive. They were like $15-$20. I got one right here, like a bottle. And I spent like, man, I think I bought like $600 of Lysol using airline miles. Yeah. Cause I didn't know what was going to happen. And I wanted to make sure that like my house is sterile for my kid all the time. And I'm a germaphobe in that way. And I was like, well, I'm not getting on a plane anytime soon. I don't need to upgrade no seats. I don't need to go to no Delta clubs. Like, so I was like, Lysol seems like a good investment of these guys, these Sky Miles. And it's just kind of funny. So now every time it's nuts.
I totally understand that, man. Yeah, that's actually, it took me, like, I looked at, this is actually funny. So my aunt, she lives in New Jersey, and she knew it was hard for me to get, like, paper towel, right? So she kept saying, I'm going to send paper towel to you. I'm like, all right, if you want to, it's fine. I'm thinking, like, all right, you want to order something on Amazon or something like that and send me paper towel. Man, when I received the box, my aunt, she spent $98 to send me a pack of 16 rolls of paper towel.
Wow.
And I was like, this is insane. I still have the box over here. Of course, I don't bring boxes in unless I spray them down, but I spray everything down, man. Like, I'm freaked out over this. You know, I have like hand sanitizer at the door. You walk in, it's like, you gotta
Dude, I bought an extra hat rack just for my masks. Me and Miles have
that's my hat. I have a hat rack there with our masks on there.
Yeah. You got to make it artful. You got to make it beautiful. I kind of got the, he was like, we need a rack for these. He's like, you can't keep hanging our masks on your bike. And I'm like, you're right.
Yes.
So had to make it.
She said ill on the bike, like on the handlebar.
Yeah.
Touching the handlebar?
Well, I don't ride though. It just sits there. It hasn't been outside.
No, the bike hasn't been outside. And why are you in my interview?
I love it. If Miles was here, he would jump in. We could have like the dual room thing. It'd be great.
I'm giving her a hard time. I love when she interrupts because she's just awesome.
It's a bit. Wait, no. I mean that's a whole. That's a whole conversation for. We could go for hours about that. Let's end with this. Because I think we talked some really interesting like longevity strategies for creatives and business. We definitely talked about COVID and how entertainers and creatives are making people feel better emotionally and healing people. Top 5 albums.
Jeez, man, that's
hip hop. We'll keep it. We'll keep it hip hop just to narrow it for you. And of course, you are in no way wed to these for the rest of your life. I just think it's interesting because I feel like a lot of times in the podcast world, like. Everybody interviews all these like amazing creatives and business people, but like they miss like, at the end of the day, especially this is probably the only podcast I'm going to do where I'm talking to another DJ. Right. Yeah. And so, and I'm asking everybody this, whether you're a businessman or photographer or whatever it is like, but what, cause you were referencing, the KRS-One stuff and all that. If you're stuck in your quarantine home and the internet goes out, and you can only have Spotify only or Apple or whatever you're using, Tidal, Amazon Music, probably not, but we'll see. What's the 5 that you're saving?
5 albums that I would save. This is all personal preference, of course. This is not about how many records these albums sold or anything. It's just what I enjoy listening to. I enjoy Mama Said Knock You Out album. Like that album is everything to me. I enjoy
Milky Cereal.
Yeah, man. I enjoy. It's so crazy because out of all the Blueprint albums, I like Adult J. So I like Blueprint 3. Didn't have all of the massive hits like the other albums. I mean, it had Empire State of Mind and all that, but I just enjoy that. Like I enjoy it. J. I would have 2 J albums in there. Actually, I would have Blueprint 3 in there, and I would have 444. Just as an adult, like where I am in my life right now, those records like really mean something to me. Especially 444, man. It was, nothing was like a massive hit like as a single, but like when I listen to that album, it just touches my spirit,
I still play Smile probably 2 to 3 times a week.
Minimum. I love Smile.
Smiles to me, like that's like that to me, that was like a top 5 J song of all time.
Yeah, man. Like I really love that album, and Smile is amazing. Another hip hop album that I would listen to. What am I like? It's actually nothing new though. Other 444 would probably be the newest of any of those albums. So I love L, I love J. I don't, even with Criminal Minded, I don't even listen to Criminal Minded like that. I would listen to like Strictly Business, EPMD. Like I love that album. That would be number 4. And number 5 would probably be like, Jesus Christ, like Wu-Tang Clan, 36 Chambers. Like, yeah, Wu would definitely be, that would be, those would be the albums. Because L to me, there's no rapper outside of Drake and LL Cool J, to me, that was able to balance that fine line between male and female. Like, who else?
Yeah.
Who else was able to make those love songs and then you didn't want to battle them?
End careers at the same time.
You know what I mean? Like, so I love those 2. I would add a Drake album in here. I just don't know which Drake because I really do like Drake a lot. But like LL is my guy. I love that. I love those 2 J albums. EPMD, I don't know, man. Like the bucket hats and like that whole vibe was just like, it was just a vibe, man. Like, geez, and I even left Rakim out. I would need 10 albums at least, bro. But I'll just leave it at 5. But like, I gotta have some Rakim in there. But definitely Jay-Z. I'm a Jay fan. Like, I love his arrogance. but I also love how vulnerable he was on that last album. Yeah. And I love that he opened up. So like, yeah. And if I had to remove, and if I only put one J album in, it would be 444. I would leave off Blueprint 3. And then I would probably slide in like a Rakim album. I would probably slide in Paid in Full.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would probably be it. Let me just give Jay one album. So my 5 albums that I would.
Sorry, Jay.
Sorry, Jay. Would be 444. I would put Paid in Full in there. Mama Said Knock You Out for sure. I love L. I need some EPMD in there. Yeah. And damn, what was my 5th album? What was the other one?
Wu-Tang.
Wu-Tang. That was like, I still play those records, man. Wu-Tang, 36 Chambers, man. Like, everything about that. Because that album seemed like a freestyle tape. That just seemed like a joint, like you just do with your boys. Like, yo, you up next. Yo, just jump on. Especially Protect Your Neck. There's no way that they thought Protect Your Neck was going to be as big as it was. Because that record was just them just flowing. Like,
just going. No
hook.
No hook, nothing.
Nothing. Like, yo. And I want to start my next IG set with Protect Your Neck.
You need to do that. I'm going to go for a run.
I need the clean version. No, I like playing clean versions, man. I know families are listening on the other side.
I might have the clean version of that, actually. I'll send it to you if I do.
If you do, please send it to me now, because that when I start my next set, I'm going to take a drive with her, take her outside. But if you have that, I want to play that, bro.
I will do that for you, my friend. So I think this is a great way to jump off. Normally what we would do is have people say their fucking Instagram for people to follow them. But I think with you, I think we're good. I think we're okay. I don't. But for those of you who haven't heard of anything going on in 2020, at D Nice would be where you could watch the magic happen a couple times. How many nights a week are you going now?
Man, almost every night, and I try not to do it, but the music just keeps calling me, bro.
Yeah,
I can't stop. What'd you say, babe? Yeah, she's like, play me. That's the music. The music calling me. She's like, play me. I can't.
That's honestly, a good drop.
Bro,
That's a good DJ drop.
I cannot stop, man. It's like I just hear music, man. And I hear these beats, and I just want to play it for people. I mean, I know you know that feeling, bro, of like just wanting to play music. So
yeah.
But
there's been many a night. I mean, it's like I know you're from what I could see, your shit's pretty close to your kitchen, and mine is too. And it's just like I'll go in the kitchen sometimes for a glass of wine or a snack or to make Miles dinner, and I'll be looking at that stuff, and I'm like, man, I don't want to do this, but I want to do this, And then once in the minute you start doing it, you're like, yeah, this is exactly what I needed to do right now.
I mean, I was in bed last night, bro. I was going to bed, and I just felt like I want to play music. Like I wanted to play music, and I got up, I got dressed, I came back in here, like we talked about it earlier. Like I put my hat on, like I did the whole thing because I just wanted to play music. And it's the love of music that we have, man, that people can really feel, man. And it's so inspiring. So I just want the music to keep going.
And, it will. It's our job, right? It's why we do this. And so
that's why we do it, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. This will be good. And, appreciate everybody for tuning into this and a lot more to come.